Evening, everybody. This is all uh, terrible news, as usual. You fixed my hat here. So terrible news as usual. Psychologists investigating hate crimes. Misha Wilkins, doctor from Australia, an Australian citizen. They waited till the husband went to church. Excuse me. Waited till the husband went to church and opened the roof, climbed down, 4 of them, stabbed her 12 times, and then slit her throat. Took nothing, didn't rape her, left the same way they came. Definitely a political hit. Definitely be a political hit. She was deliberately murdered. They don't want anybody to find out about what's really going on. These were 4 black gentlemen. Security video shows it. And the world needs to know. It's all over the media in South Africa. No. It wasn't reported, not by one English newspaper. Social media did, but nobody else did. If you like these videos, please subscribe, hit that button at the bottom, like my videos, share it with your friends. We've got to get this news out. People, the world needs to know. They murdered a renowned psychologist studying hate crimes. Why did they murder her? They deliberately waited for the husband to go to the synagogue. They went in that house, they stabbed her 12 times and slit her throat. An innocent woman. Took nothing, did nothing, and left. Deliberate hit. Today, the US Treasury sanctioned the Gupta family, who were part of the corruption with Eskom, to the tune of trillions of rands and dollars. The US government just seized their assets in the United States, their banking accounts, and they blacklisted. They cannot trade with anybody associated with the United States. The best part of this is they connected to Zuma. They connected to everybody else in that government. That means sooner or later, the heads are going to roll as well. We've been saying this for a long time. Now that the assets have been seized in the United States, it would be in the best interest of the South African government to seize whatever else they have in South Africa. But they can't, because they incorporate or incorrupt with them. They corrupt, they just all corrupt. What else can I tell you? Once you compromise yourself, you cannot go back. You cannot say, I want to reset. Now that the US Treasury has taken this massive, massive step, and you don't understand how massive this is, it's now put the South African government on notice that all the aid going to South Africa will be stopped. Because if it goes into the wrong hands or the wrong pockets, it means there will all those assets. So if it was me, all the assets that this South African government has in the United States is soon to be seized. Because anything associated with the Guptas will be seized. confiscated, null and void, no more said, it's done. Today, the hawks went around the country, and they're not associated with this hawk. Just like internal police, they went to Natal, to Teguen or Durban, grabbed the mayor, rounded up all the cars. The intelligence colonel was arrested. All of his assets were rounded up as well. The rats are starting to leave the ship. People are starting to be arrested. It's about time. Now, during the elections not so long ago, the Human Rights Organization of South Africa, the SAHRC, was approached by numerous people regarding Andile Masatama, Malema, Julius Malema, and numerous others for racist comments, for inciting the murder of whites. Just endless rhetoric on it, and they wouldn't do a damn thing. Now this guy, this Springbok rugby player, gets into a fight in a bar with a number of colored men, and he beats the crap out of this guy. They're now charging him with attempted murder because he's a white guy. And it suddenly woke them up. They have something to do now. They can go after some white guy. Like they went after the lady that said the K word, kafir, which just means non-believer. Oh no, that's a racist. You're going to jail for 2 years. Now they want to hang a guy for put him in jail for however long because he got into a bar fight. It just happens the other guy's not of the right color. See the double standards? Apparently there was 12 of them against one guy. They had knives and guns. So he had a gun. He beat the crap out of him with the gun. He didn't shoot him. The guy looked like toast in the end. But what do you expect? Stop crying foul. When you had a fight, you lost. End of story. You're lucky to be alive. This is not about color. This is about two people having an argument over some nonsense. Don't make it political. And now you suddenly have a job. When you let this election go, when you know that 90% of the election was false, and the ANC lost that election, and it was proven that the EFF was going to polling station after polling station after polling station and voting with busloads of people, and you did nothing. And then you come to find out that the Human Rights Organization of South Africa is paid by the government to run. It's not an independent organization. It's nothing. It's just a stoolie for the government to cover up all the corruption and all the crime and all the racism. And it's only racism when it suits them. Mr. Zuma, the US government's coming for you now. And as for your son saying he's not corrupt, you're lying. So there was a rally in Pretoria today. Patriots for Minorities, Project Survivor, and they were supporting Donald Trump for the elections in 2020. USAC Power Organization, United South African Coalition, was there. It's a weekday, a little difficult for people to be there. A lot was going on today. A petition for, I think, approximately 140,000 signatures. There were 4 books about yay big. were handed to the embassy, the U.S. Embassy in Pretoria. Through my sources here in the United States, I'm able to ascertain that the last petition that was handed to the South African embassy, American embassy in South Africa, the petition is lying on a desk in that office, has never been handed to the United States president as it was supposed to be. So they have liberal Democrats deliberately denying the wishes of a nation and not handing these petitions to the president of the United States. This is the second set of petitions handed in at that embassy. We will be checking up if the president of the United States was handed that petition. I'm calling on the ambassador in South Africa for the United States to do their job. And if there's anybody in there that's denying this to go through, they need to be sanctioned, fired, and removed from that station. It is tantamount to helping an insidious government that is persecuting people and corrupt from the top to the bottom. Now, suddenly, in the last couple of days, everybody's panicking over this new law that Ramaphosa signed the other day, that if you say anything wrong against the government, they're going to put you in jail for however long and fine you 140,000 rand. Well, I say this. As a human right, you have the freedom of speech. You do not have the freedom to incite murder. You do not have the freedom to incite civil war, but you do have the right to criticize a government that is wrongfully committing crime. And the people do have a right to have a word to say what they want. That's your human right. So people, don't let them break your spirit by fear. Another thing, Julius Malema, you utter one more word about killing white people, I swear to God, I'm going to take that law and shove it so far up your ass, it's going to come out your nose. As for you, Ace Mashula, remember, every word you say, that law is going to bite you in the ass. And as for you, Andile Masatama, you kill women and children. Believe me, we'll come for you too. That law is going to make you quiet. You ask for it, we'll turn it on you. In the very near future, you'll remember my name because you made a mistake. We told you we're going to bring the world. You three are going to find out very soon what's coming, and it ain't going to be fun. And that law is going to bite you, and it's going to bite you hard. Julius Malema, as of today, the Guptas, all their hands are tied throughout the world. They cannot bank with anybody. We know your hands are in that cookie jar too. They're coming for you too. Zuma, your days are numbered. They're coming for you too. We warned you. You never came to power because of your steam. We put you there. Now we're taking you out. We warned you. This ain't no joke. We didn't remove apartheid to put you back there to do it again. So you can steal from the people. You see, South Africa is not a color. And there's not a bank for you. 90% of the people in South Africa are suffering because of this leadership, these criminals. Electricity is collapsing every day. People do not have electricity because of you. People don't have jobs because of you. 25 years of disastrous leadership. because your hands were stealing the money instead of putting it in roads, clinics, and schools and hospitals. And if you built it, they would come. You built a house, $1 million house, on taxpayer money, being a criminal. You and your entire family. The hawks need to come to your house, take your cars, take your assets, seize your bank accounts. All of you. Ace Mashula, you will never be the president of South Africa if it's the last thing I do. We will expose you too. You're a criminal. You're nothing. You're not a leader. You never will be. I'll let the people know who you are. People, I want you to all contact the Pretoria US Embassy and ask them what happened to the petition that was handed in October of last year. I will tell you this from my sources here in the United States. They did some research. That petition's lying in a desk inside that embassy. It was never handed in. That means somebody in there is deliberately denying these people their rights. It's like going to a police station, handing in a report, and they throw it in the trash can as soon as you walk out. And when you come back a year later and they say, what happened? And they say, we don't have that report. It was never filed. There's a lot of people in South Africa that want to break away. They want to live in their own area. They want their own autonomous area to live in. Because they cannot live where they're living now, because everybody's living in fear. So they want a stronghold. They want an area where they can be left alone, to farm, to live in peace. Just so that they can let their children walk around in the streets. Just so that they can walk around and not be raped and murdered and slaughtered and done everything. Why? Why should we do this? Why is it okay? Why must they force the government to ask for secession? Why? Because they're tired of being persecuted. The South African people, from day one, have been in enough wars, in enough problems. Since 1652, there is not one black tribe in South Africa that can declare that they were there before 1652, except the Khoisan. Nobody else. Nobody. Not the Zulus, not the Xhosa, not the Sutus, not the Venda, nobody. That's historical fact. When the Dutch arrived there in 1652, they made a colony. There was no internet, no telephones. In hindsight, what would they know 350 years later? It's absolutely ridiculous rhetoric and narrative. It makes no sense. It's stupidity as far as I'm concerned. The British arrived. The Dutch did not want to be ruled by anybody. They moved north. made deals with the African tribes to get land, sold cattle, fought each other, did everything, but they made a pact, and there was no racism. Then the British found out there was gold and diamonds there, and they wanted them. They tried to annex the area. So these white people fought them to a standstill, literally to a standstill. Let's jump forward to 1948, independence of South Africa. Apartheid's in place long before they ever took over. The British came in with separate development. They came in with dump passes. They came in with laws that you couldn't be in towns for certain amounts of time for black people. So Afrikaners, or the government at that time, took over those same laws and just kept on going because it was working. Then they realized that wasn't going to work. So they came up with homelands. They had their own governments, their own schools, their own everything. That didn't work. No, we must all be together. Okay? Yakem Mandela. But you see, in 1993, they formed a little document of what they were going to do to the whites. Because the rich whites had cornered them, forced them to knuckle down, to do it their way or the highway. 25 years later, you have almost 50% unemployment, 1 million women raped, 500,000 murders. People are robbing each other on the streets. Yeah, I saw a young black kid going to school one day in Soweto, not Soweto, in Johannesburg, and 4 kids came up and stabbed him to death to take his haversack off his back. They stabbed him to death. For his haversack. If a teacher gives a student a bad mark, the student goes up there and beats the hell out of the teacher. Because there's no rules. There's no law. So the politicians stole the money. So what did they do? They built long drops. A long drop is a hole in the ground with a shack over the top and a bad toilet. And a young little kid fell into the toilet and drowned in a pile of shit. What did they do? They built another one. And they had a ribbon ceremony. But this one had a seat. Instead of building a school with decent toilets and running water and electricity and lights and proper boards and teachers and do the right thing, no, they just built a long drop and put a ribbon, and they all came in their suits, in the Mercedes and their Porsches. How do we justify this? How do we fix it? Do you blame these people wanting to live alone so they can't be murdered, raped, and tortured because of the color of their skin? Today, no newspaper reported about that Australian psychologist who was investigating hate crimes. Why? In my opinion, it was a political hit. She was deliberately murdered. It was a message. Don't cross this line, we'll kill you too. And they did not matter that she was Australian. Now, the Australian government needs to say something, or you just cowards too. The Australian people Need to rise up, make a stand, because your people are dying now too. Indiscriminate murder. Is it right? Is it okay? Do you just look away? It's not my problem. I told you I'm going to roll a whole bunch of pictures. Just roll the pictures. Faces, babies, dogs, animals, women, men, tortured, beaten, stabbed, burnt. 2-year-old babies wrapped in newspapers and burnt. Whole families watching TV with bullet holes in their heads. TV still running. A woman hung upside down, slit from her privates to her neck, no blood. Tied up with wire against a coat hanger thing. Young girl, barely 18, 21, somewhere like that. Straddled to a bed. They inserted a mop through her. That it came out of her neck. She had 15 different types of semen in her. Young girl stopped at the traffic light. First day in a brand new car on her 21st birthday. They tried to hijack the car. She couldn't get out of the safety belt. They shot her in the car. They never got the car. They just left her there. Another incident. People ran out of gas. But no, they were looking for, they were lost and they were looking for something. 2 guys grabbed the parents out, shot them in the street, pulled the 2 babies out of the car, and put them on the street with the parents who were dead. These babies were 3 and 2 years old. They drove their car probably a half a mile up the road and the car stalled because it had an anti-theft device in it. They got out and calmly walked away. Like it was nothing. Can you imagine what those children were going through right there? Imagine laying on your bed being raped while your husband's having his throat cut. Imagine living on a farm and you turn around and there's a man next to your bed. Your husband's already dead. Or you watch them sodomize your husband or rape your children, then rape you, and slowly kill you all. Why do you need sound jamming, military sound jamming equipment? Teams walking in straight lines with sound jamming equipment onto farms so that they can't call with 2-way radios. They can't use the phones. They can't use anything. No cell phones, no lines. They've all been cut. And they have military sound jamming equipment. These are political hits. These farms are deliberately getting murdered. You hear nothing from the government, nothing. It's all, don't worry, it's just a crime. They're making a big story out of genocide. But their own document from 1993 states categorically, we will boil the white people like a frog in hot water. And that's exactly what they've done, to the detriment of the entire country. Because what they didn't realize, once you kill everybody off, there's nothing left. There's no expertise. There's no education anymore. It's all gone. Even the educated blacks are leaving now. They're realizing that it's pointless. And the people that cannot leave are at the mercy of this nightmare. And the world needs to know. Please, I'm begging you all. Ask your friends to join this channel. Ask them to watch my videos. Ask them to spread this news throughout the world. Today, an Australian lady, an innocent Australian lady, highly educated, three degrees from 3 different universities throughout the world. United States, South Africa, and I think Australia. They discriminately stabbed her 12 times and slit her throat because she was coming up with answers for hate crimes. They did not want that information outside. She was politically killed. That was a hit, in my opinion. And by the way, I have an opinion. You don't like it, I don't care. The truth has to be told. I'm tired. I've seen enough. I've seen many, many terrible things in my life. I spent most of my adult life in war. I've seen people blown apart, torn apart, dead. It's like, you have no idea. And the reason I got into this mess, because I saw a 2-year-old baby who had been raped and burnt. And the father's eyelids had been cut off, so he was forced to watch. Why? How can you look away? How can you not say, oh my God, why are they doing this? Why can't you see this? Why is nobody doing it? The United States passed a law last year called the Eli Wiesel law, and he's the one that stood up during the prize that he got for human rights, and he said, Mr. President, don't look away with Bosnia. There's ethnic cleansing going on there. And those words saved the whole nation. Those words put the United States on a path into Bosnia to stop the ethnic cleansing of the Bosnians and the Serbs. But they stood back for years and let it happen anyway. The Tutsis and the Hutus, they only reacted after the fact. Then they arrested the guy, naughty, put him in jail. Millions and millions of women and children were murdered. Look at Sierra Leone. Missionaries went there, inoculated them. People came there the next day and they said, did they inoculate you? Which arm? They chopped the arms off. They chopped their arms off. And nobody did anything. More than 70,000 white people have been murdered since 1994. 21,000 people were murdered from 1948 to 1994. 21,000 people. The whole time, all about apartheid. Apartheid's been gone for 25 years, and 500,000 people have been murdered. 58 a day, and the world says nothing. Prince Harry came down there, and Miss Markle trying to sell her clothes, and everybody's pissed off at me because I brought up why aren't they saying anything? And just like Eli Wiesel, he could have said one word would have saved 50 million people from what is coming. When all these farms are gone, there will be a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions because the entire southern area will be destitute of food. People will move north. There'll be civil wars all the way up. People will be attacking each other for food. And only some will survive. And we can stop it now. The US Treasury today took the major step, which is great because now they're on notice. There needs to be an interim government placed in South Africa and this government removed. Proper elections taking place and a new system of government put in there that is free, fair, and non-racist. 75% of the land in South Africa that is not being used is in the hands of the government. And the only reason they're attacking the farmers is because they have no way to farm the other land. And who do they give the land to? Colored people? They were there first. The Khoisan or their families? What about dividing the farms up into 100-acre lots and handing it all out? Not everybody wants to be a farmer. It's pointless putting a shack on a piece of land if you can't grow food. Food doesn't come from the supermarket. It comes from hard labor from 4 a.m. in the morning till midnight every day. The Human Rights Commission of South Africa, you're a disgrace. You should all be investigated for corruption. You can only do your jobs when it's a white person. You let Andile Masatama threaten white people. If any black man gets killed, go kill a white woman and their children and their pets, and he was let go. Julius Malema stood up there and said, one bullet, one Boer. He fired bullets into the air and never got into trouble. He's threatened even on national TV saying, oh, we're not killing the whites just yet, but I can't tell you in the future. Ace Mashula and the question, what about this xenophobia? Well, white people should be attacked, not the black people. "164 discriminative laws that were removed by the apartheid government, taken out, gone. That's what we did. We removed it. We didn't want it back. Now it's back. Now you have 500,000 white people in squatter camps. Children with no shoes, no blankets, no food. One pot for about 100 people. And you call this the right way? Two wrongs do not make a right. End of story. Hospitals. Johannesburg General Hospital doesn't have money, doesn't have supplies to keep the operating rooms going because the corrupted politicians put it in their pockets. Tell the world. That's all I'm asking. Just tell the world. Please subscribe to my channel, hit the bell, hit the like button. Tell your friends to share it with their friends, please. We've got to get this message out. Every voice counts. Once we have peace, I'll disappear. I don't need to be here. Don't need to see this anymore. I've done my job. One good news today about the United States. The Florida courts have told the city councils on these sanctuary cities, if you do not cooperate with ICE, we will remove you from office. That's a good thing. Because these politicians in these sanctuary cities, you're traitors. End of story. You're traitors to the American people. This is the Hawk. I'm out of here. Please subscribe, share it with your friends, like, hit the bell. I'm going to be offline for a few days. I'm going somewhere. When I come back, you'll see a silent movie. Keep your tissues close. I'm out of here. South Africa, stop killing your people. Stop raping your mothers and daughters and your grandmothers and babies. Be safe out there.